The price of victory. The chamber's exit tunnel stretched before them, carved 3 million years ago by beings who had transcended mortality. Dex's multidimensional vision showed him 17 versions of the passage simultaneously. Crystalline walls that were and weren't there, doorways opening into spaces that existed only in probability. "Stay close," he whispered to Elara, though she was already pressed against his side. "The dimensional distortions are getting worse." Behind them, the Crucible's chamber stood silent. The massive sphere that had fed on death for 3 million years was now just a dark shell. Its dimensional web collapsed, its collected consciousness freed. Dex could still see the faint traces where 17 nodes had failed in perfect sequence, breaking a pattern that had seemed eternal. 28 minutes until the conspiracy arrived. Resonance of distant stars flickered weakly near the tunnel entrance, barely maintaining coherent form. "The ships," she whispered, her voice like wind through shattered glass. "They are angry, confused. The Crucible's death, they felt it across dimensions." "How many ships?" Elara asked, checking her weapon. 3. Resonance's light pulsed with effort. "Military vessels, heavily armed. They expected to find power. Instead, they will find ruins." Dex felt the conspiracy ships approaching through his expanded perception. 3 points of concentrated mass and energy, dropping through orbital space toward the planet's surface. Admiral Chen would be aboard the lead vessel, along with whoever else had survived the conspiracy's internal purges after Strand's arrests on Starbase 447. They would be desperate, violent, and they had started a war for a device that no longer existed. "The Nightingale," Elara said. "Can we reach it before they land?" Dex shook his head, seeing probability lines branch and collapse. "They'll be in weapons range before we clear the tunnel. If we run for the ship, they'll destroy us from orbit." "Then we hide," Elara said firmly. "Like you said, we become invisible." The tunnel branched ahead, splitting into passages that led deeper into Cathara's ancient structures. Dex's multidimensional vision showed him the full network, chambers and corridors carved by precursor technology, most of them collapsed or unstable, but some still intact after 3 million years. "There," he said, pointing to a narrow side passage. "That leads to a secondary chamber. Smaller, but stable. We can wait there while they search the main chamber." Resonance flickered more dimly. "I cannot maintain coherence much longer." Elara moved to support the Lumineth, though there was nothing physical to hold. "Save your strength. We'll carry you if we have to." They moved quickly through the tunnel, Dex guiding them past dimensional weak points that could tear them apart if they stepped wrong. His expanded perception made navigation easier, but also overwhelming. He saw every possible path simultaneously, every probability branching into infinite futures. The neural stabilizers had failed completely. This was permanent now. He would never see only 3 dimensions again. "Here," he said, ducking into the side passage. The corridor was narrower than the main tunnel, its walls bearing precursor script that glowed faintly in response to Dex's presence. His genetic markers resonated with the ancient technology, making the symbols pulse with recognition. Elara ran her hand along the wall. "What does it say?" "It's a warning," Dex translated, the meaning flowing directly into his consciousness. "Those who seek power will find only their reflection. Those who seek truth will find only questions. Those who seek nothing will find everything." "Typical precursor philosophy," Elara muttered. "Cryptic to the end." The passage opened into a smaller chamber, perhaps 20 meters across. The walls were lined with crystalline formations that had once been part of a secondary control system, now dormant and dark. The chamber had no other exits. They would be trapped if the conspiracy found them. But it was defensible and hidden. "Resonance," Dex said gently. "Can you dim your light? They'll be scanning for energy signatures." The Lumineth's form flickered almost to nothing, becoming barely more than a whisper of photons. "This is all I can manage." Elara positioned herself near the entrance, weapon ready, while Dex moved deeper into the chamber. His expanded perception showed him the conspiracy ships entering the atmosphere, their hulls heating from friction, their weapon systems charging. 22 minutes. "Dex," Elara said quietly, "what happens if they find us?" He looked at her, seeing 17 versions of her face simultaneously. Worried, determined, fierce, afraid. In some probability lines, she died in the next hour. In others, they both did. But in a precious few, they survived. Then we fight, he said simply, but we don't make it easy for them. The chamber shook as the first conspiracy ship landed near the Crucible's entrance. Through his multidimensional vision, Dex watched armed soldiers emerge, their weapons raised, their movements precise and military. 20 of them, in full combat armor, spreading out to secure the area. Admiral Chen emerged last, his face twisted with anticipation. He wore a civilian suit rather than a uniform. Technically, he was no longer military, having been stripped of his commission after attacking the Critharium convoy. But the conspiracy had given him ships and soldiers anyway. "Spread out," Chen ordered. "Find the Crucible's control interface. We need to activate it before anyone else arrives." The soldiers moved into the main tunnel, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. Dex and Elara pressed against the walls of their hiding chamber, barely breathing, as footsteps echoed past their concealed entrance. "Sir," one soldier reported over comms, "we're reading massive energy discharge residue. Something happened here recently." "The Crucible is active?" Chen's voice held barely contained excitement. "Unknown, sir. The readings are strange, like something burned out. All the dimensional nodes are showing as inactive." A long pause. Then Chen's voice, colder now. "Find out what happened. Search every chamber." Dex felt Elara tense beside him. If the soldiers conducted a thorough search, they would eventually find this secondary chamber. It was only a matter of time. Through his expanded perception, he watched the soldiers enter the main chamber where the Crucible waited. They stopped, staring at the dark sphere suspended in its collapsed dimensional web. "Sir," the lead soldier reported, "the Crucible. It's dead. All systems inactive, the dimensional web has completely collapsed." "That's impossible," Chen snapped. "It's been waiting for 3 million years. It can't just be dead." "Seeing it with my own eyes, sir. Whatever this thing was, it's not functioning anymore." Chen's fury transmitted clearly through the comms. "Someone did this. Someone got here first and destroyed it." A pause. "Find them. Search every tunnel, every chamber. They can't have gotten far." Elara looked at Dex, her expression grim. He nodded. They both understood what came next. The soldiers began their search, moving methodically through the tunnel network. Dex tracked their progress through his multidimensional vision, watching as they cleared chamber after chamber, getting closer to their hiding place. 10 minutes until they reached this corridor. "We need a plan," Elara whispered. Dex studied the chamber, his expanded perception showing him structural weaknesses in the ancient walls, power conduits still carrying faint energy, crystalline formations that could amplify or redirect force. "The precursor technology," he said slowly. "It still responds to my genetic markers. Not much. The Crucible's destruction drained most of the ambient power, but enough." "Enough for what?" He pointed to the crystalline formations lining the walls. "Those were part of the Crucible's control network. They can still channel energy, create localized dimensional distortions. If I can activate them..." "You could trap the soldiers when they enter," Elara finished. Dex nodded. "Or at least slow them down. Give us a chance to escape. And if it doesn't work," he met her eyes, "then we fight our way out." Resonance flickered weakly. "I can help. One more time. Create. Dimensional barrier. Brief, but enough." "No," Dex said firmly. "You've already given too much. If you burn any more of your energy matrix, you won't survive. Better than letting you die after breaking the pattern." Elara gripped her weapon tighter. "We're not letting anyone else sacrifice themselves. We already destroyed an unkillable god device. We can handle 20 soldiers and 1 disgraced admiral." Dex moved to the crystalline formations, placing his hands against the cool surface. His precursor markers resonated with the ancient technology, and he felt power flowing through the network, faint but present. The formations began to glow, responding to his genetic signature. Footsteps echoed in the main corridor. The soldiers were getting close. "Contact," one soldier reported. "I'm reading energy signatures in Sector 7. Looks like someone's activating precursor technology." "Move in," Chen ordered. "Take them alive if possible. I want to know how they destroyed the Crucible." Dex poured his will into the crystalline network, feeling it respond. The formations brightened, creating a web of energy across the chamber entrance. It wouldn't hold for long, maybe 30 seconds. but it might be enough. The first soldier appeared at the entrance, weapon raised. He saw Dex and Elara and opened his mouth to report. The crystalline web flared to life, creating a dimensional barrier that froze the soldier mid-step. He hung suspended, trapped between dimensions, unable to move forward or back. "Go!" Dex shouted. Elara fired 3 precise shots past the trapped soldier, hitting the corridor wall and causing a structural collapse that blocked the passage. Then she grabbed Dex's arm and pulled him toward the chamber's rear wall. "There's no exit," she said. "There is now." Dex pressed his hands against the wall, his precursor markers blazing. The ancient stone responded, reshaping itself, creating an opening into a hidden passage beyond. Resonance flickered through first, barely maintaining form. Elara followed, and Dex came last, sealing the wall behind them as the dimensional barrier failed and more soldiers poured into the chamber. "They're in the walls," one soldier reported. "Some kind of hidden passage network." "Then follow them," Chen snarled. "I don't care if you have to tear this entire planet apart. Find them." Dex led them through passages that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, his expanded perception showing him the safe routes through dimensional instabilities. Behind them, soldiers blasted through walls, trying to follow. But Dex had spent 6 years learning to be invisible, learning to see patterns others missed. And these ancient passages were full of patterns, shortcuts and dead ends, traps and safe routes, all waiting for someone with the right genetic markers to navigate them. They emerged into a larger chamber, this one showing signs of recent use. Equipment cases marked with military insignia, a portable power generator, communication arrays. "The conspiracy's forward base," Elara said. "They must have set this up when they first arrived." Dex moved to the communication array, his hands flying over the controls. "If I can get a signal through the dead zone's interference—" "You're calling for help?" "I'm calling the Critharium." Elara stared at him. "The swarm? They gave us a chance and left. Why would they come back?" "Because," Dex said, his fingers dancing across the alien controls, "Admiral Chen started a war by attacking their civilian convoy, the conspiracy fleet that's hunting us right now. It's made up of the same ships and commanders who killed Critharium civilians." He managed to establish a connection, the signal boosted by precursor technology. The Critharium's pheromone-based language translated through the array as complex chemical patterns. "This is Dex Holloway," he said into the transmitter. "The crucible is destroyed, the pattern is broken. But the ones who started your war are here, and they're hunting us. If you want justice for your dead," he left the implication hanging. The response came after a long pause, the Critharium's translated voice buzzing through the speakers. "The swarm remembers. The swarm honors the bridgemaker. The swarm comes." The connection cut out as soldiers burst into the chamber. Elara fired, dropping 2 of them, while Dex activated another crystalline barrier. But this one was weaker. He was running out of power, his body pushed beyond its limits. They ran again, resonance barely keeping pace, the soldiers close behind. The passages twisted and turned, leading them deeper into Cathara's ancient structures. And then, suddenly, they emerged into open air. They stood on a cliff overlooking a vast canyon, the dead planet's rust-red surface stretching to the horizon. The Nightingale waited below, still intact, still functional, but between them and the ship stood Admiral Chen and 10 soldiers, weapons raised. "End of the line," Chen said coldly. "You've destroyed something that took 3 million years to build, something that could have given humanity dominance over the entire galaxy. So before I kill you, I want to know, why?" Dex stood at the cliff's edge, Elara beside him, resonance flickering weakly between them. His multidimensional vision showed him 17 possible futures branching from this moment. In most of them they died, but in a few, a precious few, because, Dex said quietly, some patterns are meant to be broken. The sky above them split open as 23 Critharium ships dropped out of dimensional transit, their weapon ports already glowing. Chen looked up, his face going pale. "No." The swarm's translated voice boomed across all frequencies. "The swarm remembers its dead. The swarm honors the bridgemaker. The swarm delivers justice." Chen's soldiers scattered, but there was nowhere to run. The Critharium ships opened fire, not on Dex and his companions, but on the conspiracy vessels still parked near the Crucible's entrance. Explosions lit the dead planet's sky. Chen turned back to Dex, raising his weapon with shaking hands. You've doomed us all. Without the Crucible, humanity has no advantage. We'll be conquered, enslaved. No, Dex said. We'll be equals, like we should have been all along. Chen fired. Elara threw herself in front of Dex, her body armor taking most of the impact, but she went down hard. Dex caught her, feeling her weight, feeling her breath, feeling her alive. And something inside him snapped. His precursor markers flared with power he didn't know he possessed, and the ancient planet responded. The cliff face beneath Chen's feet simply ceased to exist, dimensional boundaries failing, and the Admiral fell screaming into the canyon below. The remaining soldiers dropped their weapons, hands raised. Dex knelt beside Elara, his hands checking for wounds. Are you bruised? She gasped. Maybe a cracked rib, but alive. She looked up at him. Did you just unmake reality? I think so, he said shakily. I don't know how. Resonance flickered closer. The precursors, they left more than genetic markers. They left potential. You are becoming what they were. Above them, the Cretharium ships finished destroying the conspiracy vessels. Then slowly they descended toward the cliff where Dex and his companions waited. The lead ship landed, and a Cretharium delegation emerged. Massive insectoid forms moving with surprising grace. Their translated voice resonated through the communication array Dex still carried. The Bridgemaker has honored the ancient compact. The swarm's debt is paid. What does the Bridgemaker require? Dex looked at Elara, then at Resonance, then at the Nightingale waiting below. Safe passage, he said. For us, and for anyone else who wants to build peace instead of war. The Cretharium's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval. This the swarm grants. The Bridgemaker has shown that patterns can be broken. The swarm will remember. They withdrew to their ships, leaving Dex, Elara, and Resonance alone on the cliff. We did it, Elara said softly. We actually did it. Dex helped her to her feet, supporting her weight. We broke a 3-million-year pattern. We destroyed an unkillable device. We stopped a conspiracy that would have enslaved the galaxy. And now? Elara asked. Now, Dex said, looking at the Nightingale, we go home, and we figure out what happens when the galaxy learns that the Crucible is gone, and that humanity tried to use it for conquest. Resonance flickered weakly. The matriarch will want to hear this story. They made their way down to the ship, moving slowly, supporting each other. Behind them, the dead Crucible cast no light. Above them, the Cretharium fleet held position, honor-bound guardians ensuring their safe departure. As they reached the Nightingale, Dex paused at the boarding ramp, looking back at the ancient planet. His multidimensional vision showed him 17 versions of Cathara simultaneously. What it was, what it had been, what it might become. And for the first time in 3 million years, he saw genuine possibility. Dex, Elara said from inside the ship. We need to get Resonance into the energy stabilization chamber. She's fading. He turned away from the view and entered the ship, the ramp sealing behind them. Whatever came next, the political fallout, the galactic response, his own continuing transformation, they would face it. But first, they needed to get home. The Nightingale's engines hummed to life, and Dex settled into the pilot's seat. His hands moved over the controls with practiced ease, though his expanded perception made every action strange and familiar simultaneously. Course plotted for Starbase 447, he said. 6 days through conventional space, or 3 if we risk the jump gates. Conventional space, Elara said firmly. I've had enough of dimensional travel for one lifetime. Resonance flickered weakly from the stabilization chamber. The matriarch will understand the delay. The ship lifted off, rising through Cathara's thin atmosphere. The Cretharium fleet moved aside, allowing them passage, then followed at a respectful distance, escorts ensuring their safety through the dead zone. As they cleared the planet's gravity well and entered open space, Dex felt the Crucible's absence like a wound in reality. The device had existed for 3 million years, feeding on death, testing civilizations, waiting for someone who could see the pattern and choose to break it. And now it was gone. The galaxy would have to learn to exist without it. Dex, Elara said quietly. What you did back there, unmaking reality. I know, he said. I'm changing. The precursor markers aren't just making me perceive multiple dimensions. They're making me capable of affecting them. Is that dangerous? He thought about it, seeing probability lines branch and collapse. Probably, but maybe it's also necessary. The precursors left these markers for a reason. They wanted someone to break the pattern. Maybe they wanted someone who could reshape reality in ways that would make the crucible obsolete. A bridge, Elara said, between what we are and what we could become. Without losing what makes us human, Dex added. That's the key. The crucible offered transcendence at the cost of everything that mattered. The precursors wanted someone who could transcend without sacrificing their humanity. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, though not through the dangerous dimensional pathways they'd used before. This was conventional FTL, slower, safer, but reliable. 6 days to home. 6 days to rest, recover, and prepare for whatever came next. Elara moved to sit beside him, her hand finding his. "We make a good team," she said. He smiled, seeing 17 versions of her smile reflected back. The best. Behind them, the dead zone receded. Ahead, the galaxy waited, changed, uncertain, but alive with possibility, and somewhere in the space between dimensions, Dex felt the echo of the precursor's approval. The pattern was broken. Now came the harder part. Building something new.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.